I answered a 911 call from a phone number that had been disconnected for 6 years. The man on the other end calmly described exactly what I was doing: my blue headset, the red coffee mug beside my keyboard. Every word was right. Then he said, "Don't turn around." Before I could move, every phone in the dispatch center started ringing at once. Let me back up. I took the overnight dispatch job because it paid a little more and because I don't sleep well anyway. County Emergency Communications, a low brick building set back from the road with no windows in the call room. Just a horseshoe of desks and monitors that never fully go dark. On weeknights after 2 in the morning, it's usually 1 or 2 of us on the floor. Mostly it was me. People think dispatch is nonstop sirens and screaming. It isn't. It's long, flat stretches of nothing, a hum of fluorescent light, and then a single call that changes the temperature of the whole room. You learn to read the night by its rhythm. The bar calls taper off around 2:30. The medical calls, the falls, the chest pains, the old people who wake up alone and afraid, those come between 4 and 6. In between there's a dead zone, a trough. That's when the strange ones come in. I worked that board for almost 3 years. Most of it I can explain. 3 calls I can't. These are those 3. The first one came on a Tuesday in October. It was 3:11 in the morning, and the line lit up with no caller ID. That happens: spoofed numbers, bad cell handoffs, old landlines. I answered the way I always do. 911, what's your emergency? For a second there was nothing. Then a woman's voice, very calm, very quiet. She said, "I need you to stay on the line with me until it's over." I asked her what was happening. She said, "He's in the house. He's been in the house for a while. If I stop talking, he'll know I called." I started the trace and began working her the way we're trained. Keep the voice level, gather the address, keep them present. But the trace came back strange. The location resolved to a house out on Coldwater Road, a rural stretch on the edge of the county. I dispatched 2 units. And while I waited, I kept her talking. She told me her name was Diane. She told me she could hear him moving in the front room. She described the sound of his footsteps, the particular creak of a floorboard by the stairs. She never raised her voice. That was the thing that got under my skin. She was so calm, like she'd rehearsed this, like she'd been waiting a long time for the night it would finally happen. The units reached Coldwater Road. My partner that night, an older dispatcher named Marla, was coordinating them. I heard the lead officer come over the radio, and his voice had changed. He said the house was dark. He said the front door was standing open. And then he said the thing that made me press the headset harder against my ear. He said the house was empty. Not empty like she'd hidden, empty like nobody had lived there in years. Dust on the floor. No furniture in the front room. No phone line connected to the building at all. I still had Diane on the line. I could still hear her breathing. I told her the officers were inside, that she was safe, that she could come out. And she went quiet for a moment, and then she said, in that same calm voice, "They're too late. They're always too late." And the line went dead. I ran the number afterward. It took me 2 days to get anywhere with it, because the number that had called me was registered to that address on Coldwater Road, and the account had been closed 9 years earlier, after the woman who lived there was killed in her home during a break-in. Her name was Diane. I told myself it was a hoax. Somebody with the old number, somebody who knew the story. I told myself that for about 4 months. Until the second call. The second one I can date exactly, because it was the night we lost power. There was a bad ice storm in February. Lines came down all over the county. Our building runs on backup generators, so the board stayed live, but the overhead lights dropped to the dim emergency set, and the whole room went gray and low. It was just me and one other dispatcher, a young guy named Petey, and he was on the far side of the horseshoe with his back to me. At 3:11, and I noticed the time, because by then I noticed 3:11 every single night, a call came in. It was a child, a little boy. He said he was scared. He said the lights had gone out in his house, and his mom wouldn't wake up. I did what you do. I kept my voice soft, and I got him talking. I asked him where he was. He gave me an address I knew. It was the address of the fire station 2 blocks from our building. I told him, gently, that that was a fire station, and asked if maybe he was looking at a sign. He said no. He said he was in his bedroom, and he could see the toys on his floor and his mom on the bed, and she wouldn't wake up. He said there was a man standing outside his window in the yard, and the man was looking at him, and the man was smiling. I asked him to describe the man, and the boy said, "He looks like the picture you have, the one by your cup." I keep a photo taped to the edge of my monitor. My dad, who passed when I was 19. Nobody sees it but me. It faces me. You'd have to be sitting in my chair to know it was there. I asked the boy, my voice not so soft anymore, how he could see my picture. And he said, because he's not outside my window anymore. He's outside yours. Our call room has no windows. I've told you that. But I turned and looked at the wall behind me anyway, the blank cinder block wall, and for 1 second, one bad second, I swear the gray dark of it looked like glass, and there was a shape in it. Then Petey's chair squeaked and I flinched, and it was just wall. The boy was gone. The line showed a call duration of 4 minutes, but the recording, when I pulled it later, was 4 minutes of silence. No child, just the hum of the room, and, near the end, one long breath that wasn't mine. Petey swore he never heard me talk to anyone. Which brings me to the third call. The one I open with. The one I still can't sleep on. It was late June, almost a year after Diane. A slow, warm, ordinary night. I had my blue headset on and my red coffee mug beside my keyboard, and I was reading something on my phone under the desk the way you're not supposed to. 311, the board lit. The number that came up was one I recognized, because I'd learned to recognize it. It was the Coldwater Road number. The disconnected one. 6 years past the day it should have gone dark for good. Except the paperwork I'd found said 9, and the discrepancy never sat right, like the line had been dead longer than the world admitted. I answered anyway. I don't know why. 911, what's your emergency? A man's voice. Calm, like Diane's had been calm. Pleasant, even. He said, you have your blue headset on. I didn't move. He said, there's a red mug by your keyboard. It's almost empty. You should finish it. He described the room. He described the photo of my father. He described the exact page I had open on the phone in my lap. I asked him who he was. I asked him where he was calling from. And he ignored all of it. And he said, very softly, very kindly, don't turn around. And that's when every phone on the floor started ringing at once. Every board, every line, all of them, at the same instant, a wall of ringing so loud and so wrong that I stood straight up out of my chair. Marla came running from the break room. She saw my face, and she stopped in the doorway. Because here's what she told me later, and here's the part I've never been able to put down. From where she stood, for just a moment before the lights steadied, she said it looked like there were 2 people at my desk. Me, standing, and someone still sitting in my chair, wearing my headset, facing the screen. The phones cut out all at the same time. Dead silence. Every line showed the same thing. An incoming call from the Coldwater Road number, all of them, on every board, at 3:11 in the morning. I didn't turn around when he told me not to. I want you to know that. I stood there facing my dark monitor with my heart going like a fist on a door, and I did not turn around, because some animal part of me understood that the calm voice was the only thing in the room that had bothered to warn me. I finished my shift. I don't know how. When the sun came up, the night felt like it had never happened, the way nights do. But I put in my notice that morning. I've tried to explain all 3. A spoofed number. A prank with a dead woman's line. A dream I had with my eyes open at the worst hour of the night. Maybe all of it. But every call came at 3:11. Every call knew something it had no way to know. And the last one, the man on Diane's deadline, described my father's photo, the one facing my chair, the same way the little boy had, 5 months before, on a night the recording says was silent. Like they were all the same call. Like something out on Coldwater Road had been dialing that number for years, working the timing, trying to get a person in the chair at exactly the right minute, so it would have a voice to answer when it finally got through. I gave up the overnight board. I sleep in the daytime now, badly, but in the light. And every so often, at 3:11 in the morning, my own phone rings. No caller ID. I've stopped answering. But somewhere the county board is still lit, still humming, still one dispatcher alone in a room with no windows. The line is always open, and it's still calling. If you made it this far, subscribe. New stories every night.